so welcome back. And now we're going to have some questions from the students from Gibbs High School. They're participating in our summer bridge during the summer, so they had a few questions about vaping for you.
Thank you.
It seems vaping is popular among today's society. Yet, even though everyone does it, is it safe?
Jonathan, thanks so much for participating in this video today, which I believe is going to help a lot of your fellow classmates and a lot more students in the fall and through the spring. It is very sad that vaping is becoming more popular every day. You are correct. No matter how we tell the students the dangers involved in getting used to these sorts of habits, it hasn't seemed to make a difference. What you may not know is these companies who used to make all the cigarettes that lost tons of money when people finally realized how dangerous they were are responsible for the companies that are making your Juul cigarettes and all the other devices, as well as that which goes inside them. And I think all those wonderful millions of advertising dollars are working their magic and teaching even kids in middle school that it's okay to start the vaping process. But the best part of the question is you asked, is it safe? And of course, it's completely unsafe. I think you know how dangerous cigarette smoking is, and now we know vaping is worse. First of all, it isn't regulated at all. There are so many chemicals inside the solution that's being aerosolized in all the different devices that there's not even possible a way to name all of them. Something that makes a smell, a taste, but most importantly, nicotine, that addictive compound that was in cigarettes that made people want them for years. Nicotine is the primary component of those vaping fluids as well. And when people get a taste of nicotine, they want it again, no matter how it happens. So first of all, it's going to make you addicted to it. It's going to be dangerous for you because of the breathing aspect of it and the leading to lung cancer and all those other toxic effects. But also it's going to be dangerous to all the other kids who are next to you, breathing in that smoke as well. We'll talk about gateway drugs, and you know that when kids start to do things like vape, it's only a matter of time when a large percentage of them will lead to stronger compounds, inhaled or injected or whatever it may be. If you have a question about this, I know it means that you know it's the wrong thing to do. But I hope the take-home message to you is it is not safe. Don't start. And do your best to find those who have started and make them stop, because it can bring great health to all of us. Again, Jonathan, thanks so much for caring enough to participate, and I hope I have been help to you today.
Some of my friends are vaping, and I just want to know how it would affect me in the classroom or in sports, and what are the long-term effects?
Gabriel, I'm glad you asked that question, and thank you so much for taking the time to do so. We don't know everything about all those compounds that are inside the vaping solution, but what I can tell you is this. One of them is nicotine, so it makes you addicting to wanting more and more of it all the time. But what does nicotine do besides causing you to be addicted? It acts on your brain in the neurosynapses to change the way connections are being made, affecting your ability to think and to remember and to recall information on tests. Your brain is really not fully formed with all these synapses until you are 25 to 30 years of age. So vaping just once can have long-term complications to your ability to learn, not just today or while the solution is inside your body, but tomorrow and down the road, even if you choose to not do it again. And then you're inhaling something that gets into your lungs and decreases your oxygen carrying capacity, the same way cigarettes do. And that's going to affect negatively your performance on the athletic fields and arenas, etc. The more you vape, the less you're going to be able to perform when you need oxygen. And most athletic activity is aerobic, needing oxygen. So you're going to make yourself unable to learn, unable to perform academically, and give yourself long-term complications for the rest of your life just by beginning to vape. But if you have, it's not too late to stop. Every time you inhale, you're going to cause more damage. And stopping today is going to pay you huge dividends tomorrow and in the future. Gabe, thanks so much for playing a role in this very important video today, and I really appreciate you taking the time to ask.
So I see a lot of my friends doing vaping and juuling and e-cigarettes and all that. What are some of the side effects from not even doing it, but from just being around it?
Griffin, Thank you very much for taking the time to speak on camera today about your concerns. We've talked about some issues regarding the dangers of he or she who does vape, but I want to talk to you about those who don't and those who are exposed. You know about secondhand smoke, and we've shown you in the past that that which comes out of the front end of a vaping device or cigarette is much more dangerous than that which is inhaled. And the same is true with vaping. Just standing near somebody who is doing so means you're inhaling those solutions that have nicotine that are going to make you addicted to wanting to start yourself. They're going to change the way your brain is forming connections, making it difficult for you to learn, to pay attention, to recall information on a test. Again, not just today or when you are in the presence of the vaping solution aerosolized, but tomorrow and for the rest of your life. Every time you vape or stand near somebody who does, it's going to have long-term complications. And you're right, more and more people are vaping all the time, and it's a terrible tragedy. The reason is all the advertising dollars. All these companies who used to make cigarettes are now making Juul cigarettes and vaping solutions. And they're trying to convince you with their billions of dollars of revenue they're making from people starting every day that it's the cool and right thing to do. I hope you won't. But again, if you have already started to participate in this activity, it isn't too late to stop. And it also isn't too late to start hanging around people who are doing it. If your friends or acquaintances don't want to stop, now you know how dangerous it is to stand next to them. Walk away. Maybe your friendship is more important to them than what they are doing, and maybe you taking a stand will be the reason they will stop. And perhaps that is the epidemic we will see in the future, the stopping of electronic cigarettes, the stopping of vaping, instead of the widespread starting. Thank you so much, Griffin. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and I hope that my answers have helped you.
My name is Thomas, and I know a few of my friends are vaping a lot, so really my question is vaping a gateway to other drugs like marijuana or others?
Hello, Thomas. Thanks for participating today. You've asked a very important question, and the answer is yes. We know that vaping can be a gateway to worse things. Because of the nicotine involved and that substance that's in all vaping solutions that makes you addicted to it, that changes the way your brain makes connections, making it difficult for you to learn and recall information. It also rewires your brain to have a desire and a thirst for other mind-altering substances. And of course, if you get used to inhaling vapor, people turn to cigarettes, and some skip that entirely and go right to marijuana. And then we know marijuana is a gateway drug to using much worse things. The injectable illicit drugs like heroin and etc. that are so rampant in our society today, even in kids who are in middle school. Because when people think they can get away with one thing, when people think that they can do one habit that's bad for them, like vaping, then they believe they can get away with anything. The omnipotence of adolescence, that fact that exists in all minds of kids your age, that the things they do today will not have any negative effect on their lives tomorrow, is so strong. And it is what leads people to start doing things like vaping and then moving to worse things. I can't tell you how many people I see in the hospital because they've used injectable drugs. And it leads them to death. It happens all the time. All of them have some history of doing things like vaping before. But I'm going to take that a step further and remind you of something. People often hide from what's going on in their lives by some recreational activity, like vaping. How about kids who are depressed and might even be suicidal and don't know how to talk to anybody about it? You know, kids often turn to marijuana because they say it relaxes them. It hides their depression and anxiety. But people do the same thing with vaping, although these unknown solutions can often make depression and anxiety worse. So maybe when you see somebody else turning to vaping, you might not worry about immediately what they might do in the future, but you might ask yourself, what was it that made them turn to vaping in the first place? And if you care enough about them, say something to somebody else or to them. And if you think there's something going on with some suicidal thoughts, depression or anxiety, help them. Say something to some authority at school or another friend, or try to handle it with their parents. You know, kids are often afraid to get involved in the lives of their friends because they believe that they're being a narc or they're being a bad person. When the truth is, you might not understand or realize how many lives you might potentially be able to save throughout your time in middle school and high school. Care enough about people to make a difference. When you see people doing something wrong, step up, find out why they're doing it, and try to stop them, even if it means talking to authorities who could save their lives, because it can make a difference. Thomas, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate your question, and I hope it will be a bit thought-provoking to you and those who are listening, and maybe it takes kids into a different journey than just beginning something so horrible for you as vaping is. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Savel. Really great advice about why are they starting vaping and could it possibly be linked to depression? Because we've connected with Sandy Hook Promise and they have the ability to see something, say something, use that app to be able to anonymously tell someone, I think my friend needs help. And so being able to at least say to them, I'm going to let an adult know, they're going to check on you, and I care about you. And that's the key, because the students are going to know first that there's an issue with a friend.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. And when we come back, we're going to talk about getting ready for the school year and that critical piece of getting those immunizations before the first day of school. All right, so thank you.